Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are taking that overwhelming, endless to-do list of yours and transforming it into a crystal clear action plan. We're going to dive right into Brian Tracy's absolutely legendary productivity philosophy to figure out how we can stop drowning in tasks once and for all. You know the feeling, right? We literally never seem to have enough time to catch up on our emails, let alone those huge lingering projects. So I actually want to kick things off by asking you a slightly unusual question. How exactly do you eat a live frog? Well, the answer comes straight from Brian Tracy's international bestseller, Think. Think of This Explainer as your ultimate, actionable playbook for reclaiming your time, beating procrastination, and accelerating your success, all without burning yourself out in the process. Now, obviously, your frog isn't an actual slimy amphibian. It's a really powerful metaphor for that one massive, wildly intimidating task you've been avoiding. You know the one. It's the exact task that will have the absolute greatest positive impact on your life right now. So, here is our game plan. We're covering 6 key principles today. Meet your ugliest frog. Set the table. Plan every single day. Apply the 80-20 rule. Consider the consequences. And practice creative procrastination. Let's jump into section 1. Meet your ugliest frog. Do the worst first. To really achieve the kind of action orientation that high performers have, you just need to follow 2 simple rules. First, if you've got 2 important tasks, you have to eat the ugliest frog first. And second, if you have to eat a live frog, don't just sit there staring at it. You've got to jump in immediately. Believe it or not, doing this actually triggers an endorphin rush in your brain, allowing you to develop a highly positive addiction to completing your hardest tasks. Moving right along to section 2, set the table, because clarity is absolutely essential. You say taking action without clarity is basically useless. As Stephen Covey so brilliantly pointed out, doing the wrong things quickly doesn't make us productive, it just gets us to the wrong place faster. A huge reason we procrastinate is just vague, fuzzy-mindedness. You literally have to think on paper to ensure your ladder is leaning against the right wall. Tracy's process is amazing because it forces your brain out of that vagueness. You just write down exactly what you want, lock in a hard deadline, list out your actions, and sequence them into a concrete plan. Then, execute immediately. And step 6 is the real secret sauce here. Do something every single day that moves you toward that major goal. That is how you build totally unstoppable momentum. All right, section 3, plan every single day. Let's talk about advanced daily planning. Before you actually sit down to do any work, you have to consider the sheer math of the 10-90 rule. It's crazy, but investing just 10 minutes of planning before you go to bed literally saves you up to 2 hours of execution time the very next day. Proper prior planning is literally buying back hours of your life. To actually implement that planning, you're going to funnel your tasks through 4 essential lists. First, empty your brain into a master list. Then, filter that down to your monthly and weekly lists. Finally, transfer today's priorities onto your daily list. Actually ticking things off this daily list actively kills your urge to procrastinate. It's so satisfying. Next up is section 4, apply the 80-20 rule, the famous Pareto principle. So how do you actually identify which items on your daily list are your frogs? Well, the Pareto principle proves that just 20% of your tasks are going to account for a massive 80% of your results. Think about it. If you have 10 items on your list, 2 of them are worth more than the other 8 combined. Those 2 items, those are your frogs. But here is the trap we absolutely all fall into, doing the small, easy things first just to quote-unquote clear the deck. You have to adamantly refuse to work on that bottom 80%. Low-value tasks are literally like rabbits. They continually multiply, leaving your biggest, ugliest frog just sitting there staring at you all day. This brings us to section 5. Consider the consequences. It is time to think about the long term. Harvard's Dr. Edward Banfield discovered something really fascinating. Having a long-term time perspective is the single top predictor of upward mobility and success. To maximize your productivity, you must constantly ask yourself, what are my highest value activities? You have to ensure that your daily actions actually align with your biggest long-term goals over the next 5 to 10 years. Next, you want to keep this famous question from management guru Peter Drucker right in your toolkit. It challenges you to isolate the very specific tasks where you provide utterly irreplaceable value. If you don't do it, it just won't get done. But if you do it well, it creates immense value. You need to find that task. And finally, we arrive at the core question of all time management. This forces you to acknowledge that out of everything competing for your attention today, only one task truly matters at this exact moment. By answering this accurately, hour by hour, you ensure you are always working on your absolute highest priority. And finally, Section 6, practice creative procrastination. Yes, deliberately putting things off. Okay, here is a wonderfully liberating truth for you. You simply cannot do everything. It's impossible, because you will inevitably fall behind on something. High performers practice what Tracy calls creative procrastination. They don't just randomly put things off, they intentionally choose to be bad at low-value tasks so they can be absolutely exceptional at high-value tasks. By freeing up your schedule from all that unimportant noise, you reclaim the mental bandwidth and energy required to confidently face that massive, ugly frog. Always do the worst first to set the tone for a phenomenally productive day. So, we've built your playbook, from the 80-20 rule all the way to creative procrastination. But all the planning in the world means absolutely nothing until you pick up the fork. So I want you to take a hard look at your to-do list right now. What is the single biggest, ugliest frog waiting for you today? And honestly, what's stopping you from taking that first bite?